Welcome, fellow Phoenixes, to the Spiritual Phoenix Podcast, where we make a daily offering to the divine by putting our past on the pyre, searching the smoke for spirituality, turning the ashes into art, adapting isolation into connection, and manifesting mental wellness. I'm a spiritual phoenix named Ross Cessna, and I wish to ignite the authentic expression of your soul into any avenue that elevates consciousness. I don't want to tell you what to think, but to get you to think. Create your own understanding and authentically express yourself in a way that is uplifting. We are the artists of our lives, and today is a blank canvas. Let's collectively create a better tomorrow. And before we take our moment of gratitude, I'd just like to take a moment of silence and send some love and light out into the world. Okay, now I'd like to focus on what we're grateful for today. Today, I'm grateful for all the people that have inspired me. There's been many, and they live on inside of me and in my actions and in my mind, even if I don't have contact with them anymore. They are a part of me, and they're always looking over me. And with that, I'd like to get into the words for Wordplay Wednesday. Being. And for being, the way that I like to think of it is the act of a bee pollinating a flower. Your thoughts and ideas are seeds that grow and blossom in your mind. Then when you put action, when you are in the act of being those things, you are pollinating them. Then those seeds you sow into your mind grow into a garden you can share. And people have this concept of wanting to be an artist or to be a musician, and they think it's some intangible thing far off in the distance. If you're painting, you are an artist. If you're playing music, you are a musician. And granted, you might be at the very beginning stages of it. There's a quote, and it's attributed to Kurt Cobain, but if you focus on who you want to be, you're missing who you already are, or something along those lines. I paraphrased it, but that's the best I could do off the top of my head, and I think that that's true. You have to be happy with who you are in the moment. And the other word of the day is flowers. And you could think of that like flowers. Flowers go with the flow. No one tells a flower how to be, they just are. So such is where the true essence of spirituality comes in. This world puts a hard shell around you, the seed. And when you can finally break through that shell, you find that you have all this dirt to grow through, and the dirt would be your perceptions that other people have about you. It would be your perceptions of yourself. It would be having to deal with all the crap that you've encountered in your life. But you can still feel heat and a light permeating through this cold blackness, and you instinctively grow into who you are. And then when you grow into who you are, and you have this concept of who you are, by being, you pollinate that and you cultivate this garden in your mind. Another word I'd like to share about is believing. And you can think of believing as prior to the flower, you have the leaves that collect the sun and the essential energy to grow. In order to be something, you have to believe it. And I realize these words are a stretch. The concept isn't to have them be 100% accurate. The concept is to get you to look at words differently. And you don't have to accept my interpretation of them. You can create your own. I mean, if it makes sense to you, it does. If it doesn't, then it doesn't matter. I mean, that's totally fine. And now I'd like to get into a couple quotes. To be or not to be, That is the question, whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing end them, to die, to sleep no more. And, excuse me, that was said by William Shakespeare. They were nice enough people and all, but there wasn't much love in them, because they were too busy being afraid. Love didn't grow very well in a place where there was only fear, just as plants didn't grow very well in a place where it was always dark. And that was said by Stephen King. I have learned over the years that when one's mind is made up, this diminishes fear. Knowing what must be done does away with fear. And that was said by Rosa Parks. The darkest moments of our lives are not to be buried and forgotten. Rather, they are a memory to be called upon for inspiration, to remind us of the unrelenting human spirit and our capacity to overcome the intolerable. That was said by Vince Lombardi. I'm sure most of you have realized that I'm not much of a sports fan, but I found that quote to be powerful. I had this topic in mind Sunday or Monday to talk about these things. And then yesterday, a Facebook friend, Maggie, posted something, this meme about bees and how when we lose the bees, we're going to lose coffee, avocados, and bananas or something like that. And that was the problem and people needed to wake up. And I know she realizes this, but those memes are pretty short-sighted in the sense that that's a very materialistic and egocentric point of view. We lose, we have an ecological collapse if we lose pollinators. And there's such a deeper issue rooted in that. And I mean, there's so many issues going on right now in the world that need addressed. And she said that she felt somewhat hopeless or didn't know what to do. And I offered some advice that I've heard from other people. It's nothing that I came up with in my own head. Most of the things that I say that people might view as wise are just shared from other people. And a lot of the things that I say that people may perceive as wise that are formulated by myself come from my connection with my source. So therefore, I'm acting as a conduit for something greater than me. And the thing that people need to realize is when you have so many irons in the fire, when you rally around so many causes, you become ineffective at doing all of them. You can't pollinate all those flowers and have all them grow, because when they do grow, then you're likely going to be overwhelmed. When you begin to find one or two or a few causes that you can really rally around, then you're at your most effective. The thing that you need to remember is there are people already working towards those other causes. You have to find your cause and pollinate that, the one that you can be most effective at, the one that is inherently ingrained in your soul, and realize that there's people doing the other things. Now, as far as that allegory of bees, in lots of ways, we're losing a lot of the pollinators of mentality, I guess I would say. There's a lot of people that are pollinating people's minds, and they're being bad examples. So they're flourishing. They're making a negative mentality spread, and that's somewhat of a problem. People are being hateful, so we're growing more hate. People are being judgmental, so we're growing judgments. People are being fearful, so we're growing more fear. And that's not everybody. And granted, there is also an uprising of people being positive, people being happy, people being themselves, people being respectful, people being tolerant. The one thing that I'll say is, for whatever reason, people tend to be more attracted to the negative elements. And when people are that way, it perpetuates that cycle. So if you want to make some change in something and you're passionate about something, sitting around and bitching about it and not doing anything about it doesn't change it. For me, for example, my passion is explaining my story and hoping that my experiences and some of the insights I've gained may be able to help somebody. I mean, it's not going to help everybody, and I'm okay with that. It's not for everybody. And like the episode with the Miru and the Yuru, I don't want people to download everything I say and take it as truth. I need them to shape it into their truth because they need to be themselves. People can't be me. They might be able to glean some wisdom from some of the things I say, and I say that lightly because I'm wise enough to know how foolish I am, and I'm not being self-deprecating. I'm being honest. The more I learn about things, the more I realize I have to learn, and it fractals off into infinity. And even with that, I have to focus my attention on specific things because I have limited amounts of time. There's people that are incredibly passionate about things that feel disenfranchised because they believe that they are small. So the leaves that they have to flourish that inner flower garden aren't going to be effective, and they're blossoming into self-doubt and feeling disenfranchised. The reality is you have so much more power than you believe and you've been led to believe. You can manifest change. You can grow a flower garden of your dreams. The big barrier to it is you, the people you surround yourself with, and your beliefs and thoughts. For example, after I got out of the psych ward, I believed that I was crazy. I believed that nobody cared about me. I believed nobody could relate to me. I believed that I was worthless. I believed all those things. And I believed all those things for the longest time. I was afraid of people. I was afraid of what people thought of me. And in doing what I have been doing, and being myself and expressing myself and attempting to be the change I want to see, I found that some people do resonate with what I say. And the thing is, by sitting there doing nothing, people are going to judge me regardless. People are going to think different things about me regardless. And it has, whether I try to help people or whether I sit on my ass and I do nothing. So I have to make a decision. Do I want to be chasing my dreams? Do I want to risk failing? Do I want to risk people making fun of me when if I don't try, I'm going to fail anyhow? Where if I don't do what I'm doing, people are going to make fun of me anyhow? And at the end of the day, when I'm being me, if people are making fun of me, it has nothing to do with me. It has to do with them and their self-talk. Because the thing I realize for me personally is my perception of people is based upon my perception of me, and I project that onto other people. And when I'm loving myself and when I'm loving other people, I see myself in them. And if somebody's angry or somebody's volatile or somebody's hurting, I see a person that hurts. Granted, I'm not always successful at that because I would be lying, and I don't want to sprout the flowers of lies. But if you want the world to be better, hold yourself to a higher standard. Love yourself, believe in yourself, and make sure that you're surrounding yourself with people who are cultivating a garden that you can respect. If your friends deprecate you, if your friends bring you down, if your friends don't respect you, if your friends don't respect themselves, you need to evaluate those situations, because you are the people that you surround yourself with. You become those things. You take on their energy, you take on their influence. There's a saying that the difference between successful people and unsuccessful people is successful people surround themselves with other successful people. And granted, just being around successful people isn't enough, because you have to believe you can be successful. You have to do the habits of successful people. For example, I've wanted to do website things and share my experiences for a long time. I wasn't capable of doing so because I would do it half-assed. I would not put my heart into it. I thought that I didn't have anything to share. I thought that nobody would care about my art. I thought a million different self-deprecating things. And the reality is those things are true. Some people aren't going to care. Some people are going to think I'm crazy. Some people are going to think this or that. But the thing that I didn't realize at the time, some people are going to resonate with this, and some people are going to respect it. And if you change the self-talk about you or other people at first, and you start loving people, and you start treating people with respect and tolerance and dignity, and don't see all the differences, you'll be surprised at how much more effective you are. Because when you're being hateful, when you're being angry, when you're being judgmental, you expend an incredible amount of energy. And I know that from personal experience, from holding attitudes. When I would see people being successful or being happy or being lucky with the ladies or this or that, I would get angry because I wasn't there. And it wasn't that I wasn't capable of doing it. It was that I believed I wasn't. I was sprouting seeds of doubt in myself, and they were growing into a garden of self-doubt and bullshit. It was weeds in my head. And I mean, I really could go on about this. I think the general concept is conveyed. I'd like to touch on one more element of it. Right now, there's this extreme mindset of xenophobia, of isolation, of all these negative traits in my perspective, and there's this incredible opposition to it. The thing that both sides of that argument don't realize is by being those things, they're further perpetuating what they're opposed to. And it's going to increasingly spread the margin if people keep believing that crap. I realize a lot of people are beginning to wake up, and they're being more tolerant of others. They're being more acceptable. Politically, this past election, I didn't support either people. And you know what? I still don't support how things are going in many ways. But I still do my darndest to give those people respect and dignity, and realize that they are people. They have some similar things to me. They still care about things. They still love things. They still want what they perceive to be the best is. And granted, I don't agree with the way that they're pursuing things, but it doesn't mean that I get the right to throw them under the bus. This divisive tactic of us versus them, good versus bad, I mean, light versus dark. That's what's creating so many problems, is people perceiving that. And if you want those things to end, what you have to be yourself is be more tolerant. And I know that it sounds stupid, and one of the things that I personally am working on is being tolerant towards intolerance, because it makes me angry how people can be so disrespectful. It upsets me that people can be so cold-hearted and judgmental and brutal, because I was that way, and when I see that, I see me, and I see people in pain. So, I mean, you have to love people like you love yourself and like you love your family. And you have to, and this is all in my opinion, you don't have to. Let me rephrase that. If you want to be the change, you need to allow other people the same leniency that you give yourself. And if you don't give yourself any leniency, you need to be able to do that, because if you can't love yourself, you have a difficult time loving other people. The relationship you have with yourself sets the tone for every other relationship. So I'll close with this. there's many things going on in the world right now that people are aware of. Things will sort themselves out in one way or another. Worrying about it, being fearful of it, being hateful towards it, being angry about it doesn't solve anything. It minimizes your life. It makes you feel like shit. It doesn't accomplish a thing. So if you want change in the world, if you want to see a better world, love more people. Be love. Be acts of love in instances. Be love and don't tell anybody about it. Be content with you. Be somebody who's pursuing their dreams. And when I say pursue, I don't mean you have to chase it down. I mean incremental advancement by persistency. Do little things daily to achieve your dreams. I'm gonna get off my soapbox now, and I'm gonna put this episode on the pyre. If you want to be on the show, please click. If you want to be on the show, there is a link for the guest application in the description. Please click it. If you want to reach out to me personally, professionally, there is a link for that as well. I'll put links to my tarot card readings, website, and all social media below. And if you could please take the time to respond to the Podtrack listener survey, as it'll help me better understand my audience. Also, if you're on iTunes, if you could leave a review. I want to thank the new listeners that are tuning into this from Google Play and Stitcher. And I hope that this resonates with you. I don't think that Google Play has a rating system. If Stitcher does, if you could leave me a review or a rating, I would appreciate that. I love, respect, and appreciate all of you. Make today magical with the attitude of gratitude and a mentality of manifestation. Be the change you wish to see. Love and light. Namaste.